On June 9, 2025, the Supreme Court of India delivered a historic judgment, declaring that compelling an accused person to undergo a narco-analysis test is unconstitutional and violates fundamental rights. This decision marks a significant moment in the protection of individual liberties in India, as the court recognized the deeply personal nature of such tests and the potential for abuse if conducted without consent. Justices Sanjay Karol and Prasanna B. Varale struck down a Patna High Court order that had previously allowed such tests to be conducted without the accused's consent. They described this practice as an impermissible investigative shortcut, emphasizing that the ends of justice cannot justify violating basic human rights or dignity. The verdict powerfully reaffirms that core rights, like the right to remain silent and the right to personal liberty, are not negotiable, even in the face of investigative challenges. The court made it clear that convenience for law enforcement cannot override the constitutional protections guaranteed to every citizen. The Supreme Court's message is unambiguous. Investigators must respect due process at every stage and cannot resort to invasive or coercive techniques to bypass the rights enshrined in the Constitution. Upholding these principles is essential for a just legal system. This landmark ruling is a major victory for individual rights in India. It ensures that the state cannot force anyone to become a witness against themselves, and strengthens the foundation of justice, dignity, and freedom for all citizens. The case began when Amlesh Kumar's wife mysteriously disappeared in August 2022, sending shockwaves through their quiet neighborhood and leaving her family desperate for answers. In the aftermath, suspicion quickly turned toward Kumar, with his in-laws alleging dowry harassment and filing a formal complaint, which triggered a full-scale criminal investigation by the local police. Fearing arrest and determined to prove his innocence, Kumar sought anticipatory bail from the Patna High Court, hoping for protection from immediate detention. But in a move that stunned legal experts, the court not only deferred his bail but also, in a highly controversial decision, ordered narco-analysis tests on Kumar, his family members, and even key witnesses, without obtaining their consent. This unprecedented order blurred the crucial line between judicial oversight and investigative overreach, raising serious questions about the protection of individual rights. By making forced scientific interrogation a precondition for bail, the court set a troubling example that many feared could undermine basic legal safeguards. Kumar, feeling his fundamental rights were at stake, challenged this extraordinary order in the Supreme Court, seeking justice and the restoration of due process. The High Court's move set a dangerous precedent, prioritizing aggressive investigation over the constitutional safeguards meant to protect every citizen. Now the Supreme Court was called upon to dismantle this premise, reaffirm the importance of individual liberty, and restore the delicate balance between investigation and the rights of the accused. The Supreme Court's decision was anchored in Articles 20, 3, and 21 of the Constitution, protecting against self-incrimination and upholding personal liberty. Forcing narco tests compels an accused to speak against their will, violating the right against self-incrimination. Injecting drugs to extract information is a grave intrusion into bodily autonomy and mental privacy. The court rejected Bihar's argument that such tests are necessary for effective policing, emphasizing that constitutional rights are non-negotiable. The process of justice, the court said, is as important as the outcome. Investigative convenience cannot override fundamental rights. The ruling draws a firm line. The state cannot justify ends by unconstitutional means. This landmark judgment draws its strength from the pivotal 2010 Selvi v. State of Karnataka case, a decision that has shaped the legal landscape for over a decade. Back then, the Supreme Court had already made it clear that involuntary narco-analysis, polygraph, and brain mapping tests were unconstitutional, setting a powerful precedent for the protection of individual rights. In its recent ruling, the Supreme Court firmly reminded all lower courts that the law is settled. Forced scientific tests not only violate the right against self-incrimination, but also undermine the core of personal liberty guaranteed by the Constitution. The Patna High Court's order, which disregarded this binding precedent, risked weakening these vital protections, prompting the Supreme Court to intervene decisively and restore legal discipline. The doctrine of stare decisis, requiring courts to follow established Supreme Court rulings, ensures consistency, stability, and the safeguarding of rights for citizens across the country. By reaffirming the Selvi judgment, the court sends a strong signal that fundamental rights cannot be eroded by judicial shortcuts or ignored by lower courts. The message is unmistakable. These constitutional protections are not optional. They are the law of the land and must be upheld by every court at every level. The Supreme Court left room for voluntary narco tests, but only under strict safeguards. Consent must be free, informed, and recorded before a judicial magistrate, with access to legal counsel. Even then, statements made during the test are not admissible as confessions. Only independently verifiable discoveries may be considered as evidence. The judiciary, not the police or accused, controls the process to prevent misuse. Voluntary tests are allowed only at appropriate trial stages, not as routine investigation tools. This ensures that traditional evidence gathering remains central, and controversial tests are rare and tightly regulated. The Amlesh Kumar verdict is a powerful affirmation of constitutional justice in India. It ensures that investigations respect individual dignity and due process, rather than resorting to coercive shortcuts. The ruling compels police to rely on credible, evidence-based methods, reducing the risk of wrongful convictions. It also reinforces judicial discipline, reminding all courts to follow Supreme Court precedents and protect fundamental rights. In an era of expanding state power, this judgment draws a vital boundary. Liberty cannot be sacrificed for convenience. The Supreme Court has ensured that justice, dignity, and freedom remain at the heart of our legal system.